thyroid, right? Which context-wise would make that the, yeah. And what are you going to want to look for at higher power to validate that observation? What is a discriminating characteristic of the parathyroid? Well, first thing, is it an exocrine or endocrine gland? So you're not going to see ducts. All right, then what do you want to look for? Did I hear someone say oxyphil cells? Well, that would be right. If you see them in clusters, you're laughing. But they're dispersed throughout here. You can see them right here. So those oxyphil cells, we don't know what they do other than that they make a nice discriminating characteristic. You've got abundant eosinophilic cytoplasm. The chief cells, cytoplasm doesn't stay well, and they're the ones that crank out what? Parathyroid hormone or PTH. Good. Again, what calcitonin and parathyroid do? They're antagonistic. Keep that in mind. All right, and even at this low power, you get a feel for the cortex and medulla. Your lighthouse for the medulla are these large medullary vessels. And then that's going to make you want to look out, and you can see there's clearly a difference in staining here. So this would be the cortex. Keep in mind the zona, glomerulosa, fasciculata, and reticularis. And again, what the hormones are, and whether or not they're steroid or amino acid derived. So this is a high power shot of the adrenal cortex. What's this right here? What does it look like? Well, what do you see? We've got a lot of eosinophilic staining tissue. What's the nuclear density? Very high. Is it low? Low probably suggests it's some sort of connective tissue, right? And therefore, sitting on top of cortex, we're looking at the capsule, right? So right in here would be the, that's right, you get these round, spherical aggregations of cells, and right down here in these parallel cords, the fasciculata. Okay, this brings us up to female repro. So, clearly the ovary, right? You can see in this shot, quite nicely, the blood vessel-filled medullary region and the follicle-filled cortical region. These would be what kind of follicle? Because they have what? An antrum. You can see the oocyte here, this would be the cumulus oophorus, right? And you can pick out the zona pellucida. And out here we've got primary and primordial follicles. I think I've got a, yeah, this is a nice shot. So these are clearly primary and primary. And remember, when you see this kind of thing, you've got a tangential section to a follicle. So these would be the follicular cells, granulosal cells. Multilaminar primary follicle. Secondary, cumulus oophorus. Remember the corona radiata? And that's that, remember Nigel was talking about the acrosomal cap on a spermatozoa? That contains the hyaluronidases that help digest and get through that zona pellucida, so you can actually have the commingling of gamete nuclei. Exactly. You can see a bunch of follicles, probably primordial, maybe some primary stuck in here. Secondaries, this kind of, looks atretic to me. That you can tell, remember, you can, at any stage, a follicle can die. And when something starts to die, the cells pull apart, the nuclei look a little funky, and that's probably what's happening right there. Kind of a higher power shot of the corpus luteum. So you have, for the most part, granulosa lutein cells here. The thecal lutein cells are smaller and they can be tough to find. Generally, you find them associated with the connective tissue and blood vessels that are running in there. This one right here. I'm not here. I mean, say it so I can hear it. It's not that you're wrong. Primordial, right? And this one would be primary. Exactly. Yeah. Probably going to see that. And you've got, you know, a tubular structure with a folded or plicated mucosa. And if we look at higher power, we can pick up these simple columnar cells that are ciliated with the darker staining peg cells interspersed. All right, endometrium. So we're looking at the endometrial component of the uterus. Is it proliferative or secretory? Proliferative. Right, straight endometrial gland. If you look